What is going on, Detroit Lions fans? Welcome back. Detroit Den 313 with Steve. Listen, it's been a few days. It's been a little bit. Haven't put an episode out in about a week. I'll get to that at the end. I just want to say I appreciate the handful of you that reached out to me on Twitter and asked, hey, where's our Detroit Den 313 episodes? I really, really do appreciate that. I'll get to that at the end of the show. Since it's been a few days, I'm just going to take a minute and kind of just do a little recap, just some new stuff, kind of get my feet back wet again. I've been out of the podcast game for a week, so I gotta get back into a routine here and settled back in, and things are going to get back to normal for me here real soon. So I appreciate your patience. Appreciate everyone who checked in. Everything's good, but let's keep this to Detroit Lions talk today, okay? News came out that the Detroit Lions are returning with Brian Branch and Frank Ragnow coming back to practice. Listen, that Seattle game was a war. All right, it turned out to be a shootout. I was very, very, very impressed with Coyote Awasikwa. Man, that's a tough name to say, but shout out to him, man. He played very good, stepping in there in Graham Glasgow's position while Graham had to slide over and play center. I thought Coyote would just plug and play, didn't notice any drop off, just one of those names that we actually forgot was kind of on the field, in my opinion. And I actually keyed in on him on a couple plays to see what he was up to. Hey, nothing but a solid game, and I don't think enough people are giving him enough credit for how great he played. If that's something we have to continue with, I know Frank's practicing. What his game status is going to be, unsure, but just knowing that Frank, the warrior he is, back to practice, that is fantastic news. And as well as Brian Branch. Same thing. I think we actually missed Brian Branch a little bit more than Frank Ragnow because the offense took off against Seattle, okay? So I think the Brian Branch missing a game was more of a crucial part than Frank Ragnow because we needed Brian Branch on the field. The defense dropped off a little bit, and like I said in our post-game show, I contribute a lot of the Seattle Seahawks offensive success to some bullshit penalties. Brian Branch not being on the field is another huge factor. Poor tackling. There's just a couple little things on defense I'd like to see get cleaned up, but I'm not panicky. I'm not worried about it. I just think that, in my opinion, Brian Branch was the most important piece that we were missing in the game last week against Seattle. We need him back. He's back to practice. I can't wait to see him play, man. Can't wait to see Brian Branch. What really sucks is, as a season ticket holder, man, we have like 3 weeks before we can go to a game because we had the bye week that just finished. It's Monday now. And then 2 road games against Dallas and Minnesota. So we got 3 more weeks, 2.5 more weeks before we get to another home game. I think we take on the Titans at home. I think that's our next home game. Bobblehead against the Titans as well, Calvin Johnson, which I'm not sure why they didn't do the Calvin Johnson bobblehead during his Ring of Honor ceremony, which was awesome. If you guys were there, that was a great experience to be a part of and to see Calvin get his name put into Ford Field forever. And it was awesome to be at. Great game. Also, man, while I was watching football this weekend, I've noticed, man, this NFC North is going to be a problem. This NFC North division is going to be tough to navigate. We got a tough road ahead of us. Luckily, when I look at the Detroit Lions roster compared to the rest of the NFC North, I'm not trying to throw any shade or talk any shit, but I do just think that we have the most complete roster. Minnesota's playing very good football right now, offensively, defensively, special teams-wise, they're meshing. But that's hard to sustain for 17 games, all right? There's going to be some ups and downs with Minnesota. Every team goes through it. The Lions will go through it. But when I look at roster for roster, like I just think that for a 17, 18 game schedule, the Detroit Lions are more suited for this. I think we have better depth. I think offensive line was a concern coming into the season, but I think that kind of, hopefully some people realize that our offensive line is pretty good. Even if we're missing a piece like the Frank Ragnow situation, we're going to be just fine and actually perform better. Now, I am by no means saying that Frank can sit out the rest of the season and we'll be good. I want to see Frank out there. That's my guy. But roster for roster, I just don't see anyone in the NFC North that has as much depth as us. And I'm not saying that there's not some really good players out there. I think Justin Jefferson's the best receiver in football. I think that his name's not coming to me right now, but the defensive coordinator for the Vikings, he's not going to be around long. He will be a head coach next year. Brian Flores, is that it? He's going to be a head coach next year. Someone's going to come calling his name. He's a fantastic coach. He's coaching that Vikings defense very, very well. We just got to weather the storm for a couple weeks here. I don't think the Packers look exceptional. I know they squeaked out a win against the Rams. The Bears absolutely blew the doors off the Carolina Panthers. I take that with a grain of salt. It's the Carolina Panthers. Definitely a bottom 5 team in the NFL, but hey, you got to get those wins any way you can. So every team in the NFC North right now has a winning record. I think that says a lot about what we're in for the rest of the season. Bye week is out of the way. We have nothing but Detroit Lions football from here on out, so I'm excited about that. Shout out to our guy Aiden Hutchinson, man. I don't know if anyone talked about it, but Defensive Player of the Month for September. Okay, let's get Defensive Player of the Year. Why not? I mean, he already got snubbed on the Rookie of the Year a couple years ago from Sauce Gardner. Shout out to him, Detroit kid. We respect it, but I thought that was Hutch's award. Seeing Aiden Hutchinson dominate football games and being able to close and seal the deal on some offenses and make big plays and key moments has just been fun to watch. We're all familiar with Hutch's story. I'm not going to go into like a biography about him, man, but just being able to watch this kid from early college years, knowing about him when he was in high school, watching him all through his Michigan career, how he changed that program, and kind of seeing him do the same thing for the Lions. Like him, Hutch, Sewell, St. Brown, like those are the big pieces that really have kind of shaped and turned this thing around. And there's a dozen other people I can name that are responsible for the success, but seeing Aiden Hutchinson transform a Michigan defense and become dominant, and then coming to the Detroit Lions and carrying that over to here is just something that I don't think I've seen before. It's tough to do in college. It's tough to do in the pros. It's extremely tough to do both times. So shout out to him, NFC Defensive Player of the Month for September, 6.5 sacks, a forced fumble, 16 total tackles. He's been a one-man wrecking crew. I'm excited for the rest of the season, guys. Look, like I said, I had to take some days off. All right, there's some nothing crazy, nothing bad. There's just some personal things going on that nothing's, no one's dead or dying, anything like that. But just some personal things in my life that are going on that I needed to tend to for a little bit. I was fortunate enough, and I know I'm being vague, I was fortunate enough to be in a position where I could choose when I had to take a break from podcasting, and I chose to do that over the bye week to get some stuff taken care of. But we're back now, full swing. I will say this, full disclaimer, I probably will not be around for a week in December. I will be on vacation. If my wife lets me, I'm going to take my podcast stuff with me and try to do some stuff in the morning while she's getting ready, if possible. So leave some comments down below. Stick around, hit that like button. I will be back later with another show, guys. Thanks for watching.